Hi, Ghosties! We did it! We made it to $5,000. A big thank you from me and everyone here from social media. We are so appreciative of you guys. I can't believe we've gotten this far. It's so very, very exciting. Okay, so as promised for reaching $5,000, here is my real life true ghost story. And I promise you that everything I'm about to tell you is true and actually did happen to me. So here we go. Back when I was in high school, my family and I moved into a really old house. That sounds like the beginning of like every horror movie ever. We moved into this house. It was about 100 years old in the historical district of my hometown. Nothing really happened for the first few months or so from what I remember, but I do remember that I started having a lot of trouble going to sleep at night. I would start to go to sleep, and right as I'm about to like slip under, the whole bed would shake. And at the time, I kind of assumed that this was just me. Like, you know, when you're falling asleep and you kind of like shake yourself awake, that's what I thought was happening. Except I was shaking really hard because the whole bed was shaking. So I just assumed that I was having some kind of neurological something, right? Neurological. Eventually, I started to hear these sounds. I would be going to sleep and I'd be trying to count sheep or something. And I would start to hear out of the corner of my room on the floor, little tiny movements. Like if I'd left anything on the floor, I would hear it moving slightly. And at first, I assumed we have bugs or rodents or something, and I would always jump up to find out what was happening or to see if I could catch it, or I had a flashlight. I never could catch whatever was doing it in the action. It was very strange. It never really felt like a bug. It felt eerie. You know how sometimes you just know something is eerie and creepy and paranormal? That's how this felt. So this went on for a while, and then eventually I started to hear bigger things. So my parents had an office, and in the office there was a big drafting table, and there was always lots of papers and drafts and files and like delicate paper that kind of makes a certain crinkly sound and rolls and all kinds of stuff. And I would be in my bedroom by myself. My parents would be out for the night, and I would hear papers moving in the other room. And I would assume it was a fan or a breeze or something, and I would go in there to go turn off the fan because it was freaking me out, and nothing was moving. There was no breeze, there was no AC on. It was just completely quiet. It was weird. And I started to make a joke of it with myself because it would just really give me the heebie-jeebies, especially with the bed and the room stuff happening. And I would yell every time I heard it. Like I would yell at the ghost in my mind that was fictional still to stop it, and it would always stop, which was unnerving. And one night at dinner, my parents and I were having a discussion about them leaving town and leaving me on my own for, the first time. And I made a flippant joke about being alone with the ghost. And they both stopped what they were doing, looked at me, and said, "What do you mean the ghost?" And I said, "Well, the ghost, the silly ghost. I kind of made it up. These weird things have been happening." And they both looked at each other and I guess had this silent unison decision to tell me that they actually had been having their own experiences in our home. Now, I can't really go into the full details of that. It's not really my story to tell, but what I can tell you is that there was contact, like physical contact, and there were some handprints involved, and the hair on the back of my head just raised. And that's not the end of my story. So I had a boyfriend, of course, this was high school, and me and my family went out of town for a while, and my boyfriend agreed to watch the house for us, and so he would come over and water and get the mail and all that stuff. Normally he would go in the day to deal with the house, but there was one time he had to go at night because of his schedule. He went around to the back to water the yard, and as he's watering, he gets this like really eerie, creepy feeling, like someone's watching him or something, and he turns around to look at the windows, and the blinds were split open, And right as he turns back and focuses in on that, they pop back into place. And his first thought was we were being robbed. So he quietly puts down the water hose, runs to the front to see what's happening, and everything's fine. There's no one around. There's no signs of a break-in. He looks, he's about to call the cops, but it just, everything felt so wrong and eerie to him, and he was really, really freaked out now on a very, very different level, and he just quietly backed away from the house and left. And for the rest of our relationship, he refused to go in our home without one of us there. He was that uncomfortable with the house. He actually didn't want to spend much time there, period, which made dating very strange. So that is my ghost story, my true real life ghost story, corroborated by my parents, and to this day they stand by that we lived in a haunted house. Thank you so much for tuning in and supporting Social Medium. I really, really appreciate it. As you can now tell, this is a project that is very near and dear to my heart. I have had an interest and a love of the ghost hunting, supernatural, mystical vampire world for a very, very long time. And this show is just such a joy to make because of that. Keep that support coming in, guys. We are doing so great, and I really feel like we're going to make our goal, and we're going to be able to make this show happen. Thank you again, and until our next awesome goal, see ya!